Hey everyone, welcome. I am going to get up to some purging, prepping, and a little pampering, and I'm going to take you along with me. Hopefully you can pick up some ideas here, maybe a little motivation along the way. So let's go. On my purge prep pamper weekend, I am multitasking. So I'm going to put this coconut oil in the microwave for about 15 seconds. Then I'm going to add some deep conditioner, knot my hair in a bun, and get to it in the garage. Well, it's Saturday, June 15th, and I am way behind on my purging list, you guys. I didn't do any Memorial Weekend because the bestie was here. The following weekend, my kidney was just not agreeing with doing anything physical. My list here for the garage, I want to start on these shelves here. My number one motivation in purging this area first is getting all of that hurricane preparedness stuff together. Those items that you'd really love to have on hand if you lose power for however long. So I'm going to pull those out, organize those into one container. I'm hoping everything fits in that empty crate up there. So I'm going to get started on it. We'll see how long this is going to take. I'm going to show you the weather here really quick for Florida. Mid-June, we're having a relatively cool day because of the cloudy weather. I'm going to try to make this interesting and not make you look at my booty the whole time. I'm going to start by getting out a footstool and cranking up the 80s hits. And I'm going to sweep a little bit because I don't want to walk on sand and gravel. Remember, rule number 118, always allow an extra 15 minutes for cleaning whenever you're purging. Anyone else have a box full of extension cords? I'm keeping 2. Oh, it's getting hot out here. Quick, guys, I need to go a lot faster. I found my plastic quart-sized jar lids that I've been looking for everywhere. Guys, I'm starting to sweat like crazy, and I've only been doing this 10 minutes, but it is 98% humidity today. My great-grandpa's coffee grinder. It smells like mothballs inside. So what you're seeing me pull out today are a lot of decor items and holiday items up here. And my last purging, I kept things that I thought I would use during different seasons. And now my decor style has evolved onward. Boxes I have no idea what's in. Broke a fingernail killing a spider. These are a bunch of blue and white plates that I bought at Dollar Tree a few years ago with my sister Kim in mind, but then it dawned on me it would cost me more to ship it than it did to buy it. But they were too pretty just to Goodwill. Plates, saucers. Okay, I've got a maybe pile over here. It's taken me twice as long as I told myself it would. I'm now going on 50 minutes, but that's because I ran around the house getting all my Easter decor down. Now I'm going to bag that up, put it in this bin that had been stacked right there. And I've decided I really do have to have a garage sale or a Facebook marketplace, something, because I've got furniture I want to get rid of as well as a lot of other odds and ends. So it might be worth spending 2 hours one morning, even though it's blazing hot. Slowly but surely getting there. I got Easter put away. I've got a lot of fall stuff here. Most of it's going up in the attic. These items here. This is fall in that, oh gosh, it needs a cleaning. I use it when I roast a turkey. This big box is all full of fall stuff from back in the day. I'm going to take that in the house, put it in Gabby's bedroom with the other fall stuff that I had out last year. I'm probably going to get rid of most of what's in there, but I don't want to do it out here in the hot garage. These are all keeps that are going to end up back there on the shelves after I get them cleaned off. This is my, if the power goes out, flashlight where I know I can grab it really quick right by the garage door. This I'm all keeping, obviously. These 2 boxes I've already purged. One is full of various light bulbs, and then this one is my craft supplies that I made myself pare down about a year ago. This is all full of like paints and that kind of thing for, craftsy stuff. Not that I do much of that anymore, but once in a while, and I'm always glad I have it. I just need to get these off here and give these shelves a good sweep. Spray it all down with bug spray because it is the garage, right? It's so hot, you guys. I've been at this an hour. Well, I got everything off the shelves except for stuff I knew I was leaving, but I rearranged the food. So it's all on that side in that little area. And this is all household stuff, with a lot of empty spots in between. We'll see where we land with that. And then those are materials that came with the house, are going to stay with the house. Put all these things that I'm keeping back up there, but in an easier to get to way for some of these items. For example, the cat carrier. You know, when your cat is sick or you're having an emergency, the last thing you want is to have your cat carrier way in the back behind a bunch of stuff. And now you're stressed out about your animal and you're digging for the cat carrier. And, you know, towards the back is going to go stuff that I'm just not going to be getting into. For example, this box here is not a vacuum. It's greenery, Christmas stuff that Danny left here. She didn't have room for it in her car. And meanwhile, I got all my Easter stuff put away and realized I missed a bunny. One last look at my reorganized and somewhat purged upper shelves here. I didn't purge really anything to speak of down below, other than a couple small items, baskets and whatnot. I will do more purging down here when I get out the fall and the Christmas holiday gear. It's on the list, probably middle of August. I just wanted to show you really quickly the little bit of rearranging here. On the very end, these are all my prepper supplies, which after I get cooled off and I don't have sweat rolling down my face, we'll go inside and go over that stuff. But I thought you might like to see what I have. The garage torture is finally complete. That was like a sauna and cardio combined, and I earned a treat. Guess what I'm having? Nothing like cooling off from the inside out. Oh yeah, nothing has ever looked so good. Cheers, guys, to banging out those weekend projects. It's Sunday afternoon, so major meal prepping time for me. And I've kind of been slacking off since my girlfriend was here. I really haven't done any Mondo meal prepping, and I'm getting a little behind on using up some produce, some from my garden, some from the store. First up, you know me, I'm a list maker. I make a summery quinoa salad and some teriyaki chicken and salmon to accompany the salad for meal preps during the week. These are perfectly good still a month later. So I'm going to cook those up, use up the last of this bacon. I used the other part in the quiche today. And then from my garden, I've got a bunch of green beans there. Then I'm going to make a sheet pan of roasted veggies just because I need to use these up. And these are from my garden. And then this little tiny buttercup squash, it's the only one I managed to grow. I'm going to cut it up. I don't even know if it's useful. I'm going to use a little broccoli, some of these carrots, and half of that onion. The other half is going in the Brussels sprouts. And then for the quinoa salad, I rinsed my cup of quinoa. That was the last of a bag, so I'm using that up. And I'm going to marinate the chicken in the teriyaki. That's all happening right now. These are the ingredients for my quinoa salad. And then I'm going to mix more sunti. That's a weekly thing. It's not really meal preps per se, but you guys, I am cherry tomato rich. I have all of these here, which is probably about 8 cups. It's a daily thing, like collecting eggs. I'm out there collecting cherry tomatoes. 1 cup squash that I've cut open. It's not a lot of meat, you know, this is maybe ½ an inch right there. But I'm gonna chop it up and throw it on that pan with the other veggies. I'm also gonna save the seeds from that little buttercup squash. I picked up this garlic teriyaki sauce on clearance at Publix a few weeks ago. I've used about half the bottle, and I really liked it. I thin it down with a little regular soy sauce. I add a little extra garlic powder, a little red pepper flake. We've got our roasted veg done, the teriyaki chicken, sausage, and salmon. No preps for a week right there. With this quinoa salad, I have that and the deviled eggs to finish up, and I'm done for the day. But what we're up to right now is I'm going to have a dig through my bagged veggie bin. I know I have edamame beans hanging out somewhere. I just can't remember if they're in here or the deep freezer veggie bin. So I'm hoping here. And we're just going to do a quick pull out and see. Yes! Oh good, because I did not want to go out in the garage. It's hot out there and have my deep freezer lid open for a long time. But yay! So I've already got my quinoa cooked. This recipe calls for basically 2 cups of quinoa. I'm only going to use 1 cup, and then I'll put the rest in the freezer for down the road. And then 4 handfuls of spinach. I put craisins, use what's left in this bag, that's about a half a cup. And then that's it for veggies. So you see why I say that would be a little skimpy. That's not much of a salad. So what I'm going to add to it is a little bit of very small broccoli heads, quite a few of these upper portions of the asparagus tips. I'm going to steam those crisp tender. And I'm also going to add in the edamame and about 2 tablespoons of red onion, all of these cherry tomatoes because you know I have plenty. And then for the dressing, the recipe calls for lemon juice, 2 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of lemon zest, which is a lot of zest, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And the other little swap I'm doing, it specifically says 1 tablespoon maple syrup and in parentheses, not pancake syrup. So I have had this maple butter riding around in my cupboard for 5 ever. Are the little bits of broccoli and asparagus that I steamed in the microwave for just 1 minute. Edamame. That's going in there like that. So I'm just going to slice these up and pull out the big stems. Get off this lemon. I'd say that's a heaping tablespoon, and that is good enough. Here goes the tablespoon of maple butter. Just gonna eyeball that. Time for a little whisking around. I'm gonna call that 1/3 of a cup of dressing. That's really good. I'm gonna start by pouring it on the quinoa because that's gonna be what really needs it. Let's mix this baby up. I like a little crunch in my salads, so I'm going to add some potato seeds. The other thing I'm going to add at the office as I make my salads each day is a couple tablespoons of feta on top. All right, here we go, a little taste test. This would be really good with avocado added to it also. All right, a little feta. All right, here's what she looks like. That is really good. I'm surprised how different it tastes. I've made quinoa salads before. I think it's all that lemon zest combined with the maple butter. You can't really taste maple, you know, because that was a pretty minimal ingredient. But this is just really, truly delicious. And I'll top it with some of that teriyaki chicken. And I'll put the recipe link down below. All right, here's my meal preps for the week. We are wrapping it up. I've got the quiche for breakfast or lunch. I've got 3 of the quinoa salads and about 5-6 ounces of the teriyaki chicken on each salad. And then I have a little over a pound of salmon, Brussels sprouts, roasted veg, and then for snacking, if I don't feel like having a full dinner, I've got half of a kielbasa. I threw the other half in the freezer. I ended up with about 4 ounces of chicken, so that can go on rice or whatever. And then I've got 3 deviled eggs. And I'll round it out with some yogurt and berries for breakfast. And now we're going to talk supplies for bugging in. If I were leaving in a car and thought there was a good chance I'd be able to stay in my car, but I might have to camp, I would definitely want these supplies with me. And in a more positive vein, these would be great supplies if you are just going camping. So on that note, let's go over it. First, let me start by saying the reason why you should keep all of your bugging in supplies gathered together in one spot that's easy to get to is when the power goes out, the last thing you want is to be out there digging around in the garage or the attic trying to find stuff. With that in mind, I will say last year, out of the blue, it wasn't even storming, and the transformer at the back of my yard, I don't know if you could see it through the window, it blew. I think it only supplies about 4 or 6 houses, so FPL wasn't calling it an emergency repair. So we just had to make it that night. Well, then the next morning, very early, like 4:30, I woke up because it was so hot and I really wanted my coffee. No power. Well, there I was digging for the Coleman stove and digging for my campfire coffee pot, feeling like a fool because I wasn't really prepared. I highly recommend having at least one Coleman stove and one or two propane tanks, the little pony tanks. Also, if it's storming really bad outside, you're not going to be able to go out there and grill. But if you have a large screen patio or a garage where you can open one end and, be far enough away from the storm that you can cook, you can use a Coleman stove. Now, the other thing that I did wrong last year, I had bought this, but I had never attempted to open it up and use it. It turns out it's really easy to use, but call me a girl. I was really intimidated about blowing myself up because I'd never even seen anyone else put one out on a table, hook up the propane tank, and turn it on. So I fumbled my way through it at 4:30 in the morning to make coffee. That's how you know I really love coffee. I have two stoves because at the time I had Danny and Gabby here when I bought these, and I was thinking if we end up with no power for a week, we're really going to want to be able to cook meals, and one pot at a time won't be very sufficient for 3 people. They are only about $20, at least at the time I purchased these was, I want to say 3 years ago. And my next most precious item, a campfire coffee pot, and watching the coffee pop into this little thing is so fun. It was the best coffee I can remember ever making. I also recommend keeping some paracord on hand. If you have no power for, let's say, a week or more, you can stretch this between trees, even inside if you have to make a clothesline or, a tarp situation if you're camping. Very handy. A battery-operated AM/FM radio so you can get weather reports and that kind of thing. Definitely got this on Amazon. I realized after the fact I probably could have got a better one for not much more money. This little guy I got at a $5 store. And this is super handy because it takes 3 AAA batteries, but this thing is so bright that you can, dim it, lights up the whole room. You can hang it. I just love it. You can carry it while walking. I saw that Dollar Tree has something similar this year, but yeah, I highly recommend these. This is from Dollar Tree. They carry these on the regular. Look in the automotive section for all of these flashlighty type devices. But this is a puck light. And what I love about this is it comes with a little sticky peel. You can peel this off and stick it to the ceiling or a wall. And let's say you're without power for several days. What I like to do is in every room, especially the bedrooms, is stick these like right next to the light switch. 3 AAAs, and you can also stick them on top of like a mason jar if you don't have one of these. And this one is by far my favorite flashlight. Again, Dollar Tree. This is what they look like when they come in the box. I have like 3 of these on hand. I call it a work light. It lights up 2 different ways. So we've got one button here. The first time you press it, it lights up the main bulb. The second time you press it, it lights up the bulb that you would use for detailed lighting work. The other great thing about this is this little handle. If you're walking a long distance and trying to hold a flashlight, but you could, if you had a button-down shirt or let's say a hoodie or something, kind of substantial shirt-wise, you can hook this handle through it. I've tried it. It works great. And light this up. And it's going to light your way as you're walking without having to hold it. You'd be surprised how handy this comes in. And it's my go-to flashlight. I happened to see these and I thought, those would be really great to have if you were camping or, especially long-term grade down. These are USB rechargeable LED bulbs. These even come with a remote. Again, you could hang these if you wanted to like party lights. They come with these little grommets. I think I got these on Amazon. I don't remember how much they were. I got them a couple, 3 years ago. The thing you might want to have in your bugging in is some pans that you can put on the grill that you don't A, care if they get messed up, and B, surface area wise would work well on a grill to cook things like eggs and bacon. You could do pancakes, etc. I just happened to get this for free. You could even put foil on it and make like a casserole if you wanted to try to go there over a grill or a campfire. Definitely you don't want to use non-stick pans over an open flame. So you need something like a stainless steel pan, cast iron, or something basic like this. And also if you're cooking over a campfire or a grill, it's going to blacken the bottom. Just keep something on hand that should you be without power, you could boil water in, etc. And then this was just kind of like a little indulgence because it wasn't very expensive. I think it was about $5. Again, it was an Amazon. Definitely not a necessity. It just doesn't take up much space. And I was trying to have a little fun with prepping gear. So then last but not least, let's talk about water and sanitation. First on the water. Now I know you can buy gallon jugs of water. You can buy 5-gallon jugs of water, right? And those are great to have on hand. But let's pretend for a minute that this is a long-term grid down situation where you're not going to have running water for a month or more. And maybe you have to go somewhere, whether it's a pool in your backyard, if you're lucky, or a river, or wherever you have a water source. You need to be able to have that water in something that's relatively easy to carry. So I highly recommend, especially if you have cats, as you empty these jugs, keep at least a couple empty ones. They don't weigh anything. Even though they take up some space, they're stackable. There's always a place to tuck a couple of these away. The other great thing is, even if you don't have a cat, I recommend at least having one jug of kitty litter on hand, because if you're in a long-term SHTF grid down scenario and you're having to figure out your homemade version of a porta potty, you will be very glad that you have some kitty litter to kind of keep the smell under control. You can put a trash bag liner around the bowl of your toilet so you can still use the toilet like you normally would, but there's a bag to catch things, and put a little kitty litter in the bottom of it. Now what I would recommend is in a 5-gallon bucket outside the back door a few steps, to where when you take the bag out of your toilet and tie it shut, of course, you've got a 5-gallon bucket outside to drop it in until it's built up to make it worth digging a hole to bury all that in. So that's it for my bugging in equipment, except for my solar charger, which I am not sure what I did with. One last point. When you order equipment, don't do what I did. Don't just put it on a shelf and someday you'll get it out and figure out how to use it. I highly recommend within a day or two of that equipment coming in, if it's stuff you've never used before, get it out, figure out how to set it up, how to use it before you nicely organize it in your prepping equipment area of your garage or wherever. That wraps up my purging, prepping, and pampering for the weekend, aside from the fact that I'm going to give myself a manicure tonight and watch a movie. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you all stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one.